Hey folks, RJ Steiner here. I'm going to demo the data collector has found a non-required form has become required. So there may be situations where when an event is started, an event form that was created is not marked as required, but then in the process of filling out another form, the data collector finds that when they come back to the event that the form that was not required is now required. So for this demo, I'm going to use the case module content set. Let's run Tangerine preview. Let's also open up this this folder in VS Code. And we'll open a Chrome window. All right, so before I cover the configuration, let's go through the demo so we have a good idea of what we're doing here. We're just going to go through this registration and create two participants of role 2. All right, so here's a form called dynamically make an optional form required that is not required. Notice it doesn't have this red bar to the left here, whereas these do. When I open this form, it's going to do as it is explaining, that now that this form has been opened, it actually has made itself required. You'll see in the APIs that this uses that you could make other forms required, but just for the demo, we're just making itself required. So if we go back, we can see that this form is now required. Note that it's not all instances, or rather not all event forms created from this event form definition are required. If we scroll down, we see that this one is not required. We made specifically this instance of an event form required. All right, so looking at the configuration required for this, I added an event form. So in our case type 1 first event definition, I added an event form definition called dynamically make an optional form required. Auto-populate was true, so it was created on when the event was created, or rather, in this case, when the participant was added. And we have a required of false. So when the event form was created, according to its definition, it inherits the required flag from the event form definition. And so at first it was false. And then if we look at the logic in the onOpen for this form, if we look up the dynamically make an optional form required form, dynamically, this one, as explained here in the form contents, this form was created. It was created as optional. However, in this form, on OpenHook, it uses the case service mark event form required case event ID, event form ID API to make itself required. Click back to see that it's now required. We already did that, but let's look at the onOpen logic. So here's the onOpen logic. When this form opens, it's calling case service mark event form required, and we're passing in a case event ID and an event form ID. In this situation, we're passing in the case event ID of the current case event and the event form ID of the current event form, which is itself. Yeah. In other scenarios, you may want to look up in the caseservice.case.event form. Look up the event. Look up the event forms that you want to mark as required, get the ID of that event form, and then pass it in here. So this may stay the same for you because if it's in the same event, but it may be some other event form, in which case you'll have to look it up. All right, that's it for this demo. A form that was not required became required. And also quick note, you can also do the reverse. Mark event form not required. Won't cover that in this video, but that API is there and we'll also document that. Thanks for watching.